Big up each and every one of you. It's your boy, MarkN MUFC fan, and you know what it is, guys. We're chatting here about the game that's coming up shortly tonight at midnight in European time, but it's going to be in the afternoon in Trinidad time, and it's going to be an interesting situation as Trinidad take on none other than guess who? Saudi Arabia. You know, they've been infiltrating, they've been trying their best as they host the tournament in 2030. They have in 2036, they have just under 10 years to get themselves to be one of the best. And they're trying every which way, and that includes competing in the Gold Cup. Now, they have won their game against Haiti, what 2-0. It's an interesting game. I'm gonna bring up something for you guys to see. Big up to Chelsea Blue in the building. This team has no discipline, says Chelsea Blue, and I agree with you. But I think if we give York sufficient time, like another couple years, who knows? The next team might look miraculous compared to how this team look right now, just after 4 months of training here nor there. And we don't always have the ultimate competition, the best chances at competing with other teams at a level that we need to climb to. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit difficult for Trinidad right now, as well as other Caribbean countries, when you know that, the financial situations that each country faces are different. So I'll say that the one thing I can say is that I think given time, Trinidad will improve a lot. And I can say that because currently Trinidad and Tobago, yeah, has improved their ranking from 111 and we're now ranked in the top. Yeah, in the top 100. We're ranked in the hundreds right now. It wasn't always to be. It was a situation where, we had, how can I put it? We had no hope, no chance. Yeah. But now we have a shout in the dark and we're in, how could I put it? We have an opportunity, to get ourselves in the situation, in the discussion, and I look forward to seeing what Trinidad can do. Because as you know, there is lots to be going on with Trinidad and Tobago. And Dwight York, power to the guy. He's coming at a time where, it's not the best situation. Of course, we hope Trinidad could improve. Of course, we wish we had gotten a squad together much sooner. So it's one of those things. A news article dropped in Trinidad, players broke camp to party. Bomber. I'm gonna and check it out. Yeah. What are you saying, guys? How do you feel about that? That's terrible news to be hearing. As a Soca Warrior fan, you know, you don't want to hear that your team is breaking camp to go party. I mean, what sort of nonsense is that? This is why a lot of these players we need to get rid of them. The ones who break camp and party, they have to be made an exaggerated example of, so that others in the future won't do that because bigger players from bigger teams, like, the Brazil players, they don't do that kind of stuff. And it's very disappointing because the level at which they perform at is a lot higher than what we're performing at currently. So yeah, if you can share some of the excerpts in the chat, bro, that would be awesome. I'll definitely read it out. You know, my presentation is a little bit difficult right now, but let me hold on. Hold on one second, guys. I think my laptop just died. I'm not too sure. It's wild. Anyway, okay, so I have a presentation for you guys, and I can't show it because my laptop is dead. Give it a few minutes, guys. It should come back on. But let's start off because I memorized the presentation anyway. So I'm just going to give it to you live and direct, right? So Al Asif, the goalkeeper from Saudi Arabia, is their current best performer in the tournament so far. He's had a rating of 7.6. It's very interesting to see that a goalkeeper is the highest rated player on the squad so far. And Al Shaif is their striker. With one goal in the tournament, he's one of their top scorers. Of course, he's an interesting player. He plays in the Saudi Pro League. He was in the last running for the knockout phase of the cup in Saudi this season. A very interesting player. He has a good dynamic. He gets 90% of his shots off when he's in that area, that danger area, and he has shown that in this tournament. These are what the ratings are coming from. He's a guy that gets on the ball. He has like 76% possession. He has like an average of 65 to 78 touches per game. And that's very interesting coming from a Saudi player because, guys, we would think that the Saudi team isn't that good, but some of the Saudi teams are doing it to some of the big teams like Chelsea. They got 2-0. Interesting. My brethren in the chat is not going to like I mentioned that, but I'm not even in the tournament. So as a Man United fan, so it is what it is. Big up to you. As I would go on from that to say that Saudi has played Trinidad twice this year. We've drawn 1-1 and then we have lost 3-1 in the last encounter with the Saudis. It's an interesting situation where some of the players who are playing today were not in that lineup, and players like Levi apologize. I apologize. I apologize profusely. Yeah, my phone battery died. That's the worst thing for me. Melissa Molino was missing in camp to party. That boy, broski, you're on the cover of my game tonight. Yeah, I think it's time for Molino to go. I think it's one of those situations, guys. I don't know about you, how you guys feel, but that That is terrible for the captain to be one of the guys missing. It nonsense. I cannot believe this, bro. Like, and guys, I've been saying Molino is one of those players that, we need in this team. He's got the experience so he can lead, these young players with us going forward. And now he's pulling this kind of nonsense. It's really, really ridiculous, guys, at this point. It's one of those rubbish situations. But let me bring this up to the stage. Hold on, I gotta take it out and so I could make it bigger. Hold on 1 second. Right. So boom. Let's do this. Boom. 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 Right, guys. So sorry about taking so long. I apologize for, the not so good performance so far from my end. But this is the presentation that I had for you guys in store today. As you can see, this is the group fixture. This is where Trinidad is lying bottom of the group on 1 point below Haiti because we have terrible goal difference. As you can see, USA is perfect, 2 wins from two, and Saudi Arabia on 3 points. So definitely the game that Trinidad needs to win. As you can see, this is the last couple games for both teams. As you can see, Trinidad has one draw, three losses, and one win. Saudi Arabia has 3 wins and two losses. It's an interesting situation, like I said before, and this is the starting lineup that has performed the best so far for Saudi Arabia in this tournament so far. And it's Ahmad. Ahmed is one of their left wing attackers. He's been having a very decent season in the Saudi Pro League this season. Al Burakai is the other striker with a goal, but the best performer is the other striker I was telling you about. Al Obud is not a terrible player. He hasn't had the best tournament, but he is one of their top performers. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes forward. Al Johani is another very eccentric midfielder. And the one to watch out for in the midfield is Abdullah Hamid. He's a very, very physical player. Crunching tackles and the like comes from this guy. And it's going to be interesting to see his performance. The defensive pair is not the best. As you can see, Madu is one of their worst performers in the tournament. He's averaging a 6.2, which means he is responsible for them conceding the goals against the USA and the one goal against Haiti. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. As I told you, their best player so far in the tournament is their goalkeeper, and you can see why he has the highest rating. And it's an interesting matchup as Alaki. I told you about him. He's been in one of the top teams in the Saudi Pro League this season. So it's gonna be interesting. Yeah, Angus has been saying that at the same time. I think York doesn't want to use him, but again, like I tell you guys, you said it before to me on the phone. Some of the selectors that are making choices, they're not doing the best job, and this also puts the country in a problem because for me, I would select a youngster, but everyone wants to qualify. They want that fanfare of qualification, so they're gonna have to use who they have, who's available. So that's the terrible part. The rebuild process is going to have to be slow. I'm apologizing because it's in Deutsch, but I'm going to read it out for you anyway. Of course, you can understand he's a 55%, a very decent, an average sweeper keeper. He can come out and clear. He will command his area. You know, he's very combative. When he's trying to stop goals one on one. As you can see, 48% of the goals that he tries to stop one on one, he does stop. And then, kind tour allowed 46% from the shots taken in this tournament so far. You know, he's a goalkeeper that's going to play the ball long because he plays 83% of all of his passes long, even when playing for his club. So it's going to be an interesting situation. I think this long ball situation with Saudi Arabia might play into the hands of Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, we didn't do too well against the USA with the long ball, but I certainly think that the USA is a little bit more fit, more pacey a team in general than the Saudi team. Of course, they are very decent. Of course, like I said, Alsheri, he has the other goal for them, one of their better performers. Big up to Lou France in the building. I hope you're doing well. Long time no see. You know what I mean? And this is his performances. Like I told you, he's had 50%, 2% of the chances in this tournament so far that he has taken. Ball contact 79% on average in the tournament so far. And he has some defensive actions as well. And he shoots 63% of the chance of opportunities that he have, he will take a shot. So it's going to be interesting when Trinidad lines up against this Saudi Arabia team this tonight at 12:30 Eastern European time. Now, the interesting thing is that the Trinidadian team on our this is their best performing team so far of all players when put together in the tournament. And we can see that from the last game that was played. Of course, we were very much, I would say, a bit too casual in that game. We had a one man advantage as Haiti went down to 10 men, and we did not make it count. We only were able to come away with a point, and as you can see on the screen there, the defender. Yes, I'm talking about Garcia Squiggy, as I think my buddy calls him. He came up with the goal after he was talking about he's not a player at all. As you can see, Rampassad, after the one game, is our best performer so far in the tournament with a 7.0 rating. Levi Garcia is a close third, and Andre Raymond has a 6.8 rating, despite giving away the penalty against Haiti, which the Haitian striker skied high, wide, and not at all handsome. Now, if you look at the back line, I would have to say to you that this back line looked a lot better than the back line that played in the game against the USA. Rio Card Beans, the young Trinidadian who plays his football at Crystal Palace, has been a revelation on that right back side during the second game against Haiti. I think he did amazingly well and able to defend both and help going forward and create chances for the team. Of course, we know he can take shots. He also plays attacking winger at times for his club in the UK. So it's going to be interesting, but he's a young player, only 19 years old. There's a lot more to come from him. And of course, playing right ahead of him in the right midfield role is Dante Sealy. Dante Sealy is a very interesting talent coming from PSV Eindhoven that is now playing his football in the USA. He's very, very good on the ball, has a lot of quick feet, and he can score goals. Unlucky that he wasn't able to get into the right attacking areas in the last, and he should have had an assist when he lofted the ball straight to James, who skied it not at all clear near in troubling the goalkeeper. I think it's something that James has to work on. He could have taken extra touch and placed that shot low and hard. I hope that the Trinidadian team attackers tonight will be thinking about putting the ball into the net low off the ground, because this keeper is from even in the Saudi Pro League, these are one of his weaknesses. He doesn't like the ball shot on the ground low and going away from him. So I urge the team, if anyone is listening who can interact with the team today, please let them know. Take their shots low and hard. They will find some success there. Of course, in the midfield, we have Phillips, who partners Rampassad in that game. Very interesting player. He's decent press resistant in my honest opinion, but he needs to make better decisions when releasing the ball going forward. And I think if he can do that tonight, he certainly will have a much improved rating in the game based on the stats, as well as I think he will contribute greatly to TNT's rhythm in attack going forward and breaking up the play. Rampassad keeps it simple. He's there just to break it up, protect the defensive line, keep the ball moving, and take out the pressure, which he has done very well in the game against Haiti. Spicer is the trouble man, and he's the one on the left wing. I hope that he plays a little bit more with the likes of James and Garcia and Sealy, who are a little bit more tricky with their feet, but he does have some quick feet and a lot of pace and a great engine on the guy. He was unlucky not to get out the opening goal for Trinidad, hitting the post square on when it should have been in the back of the net. But I think he's going to be big tonight. We are going to expect a big game from him if we are to get some chances in the early half of the game. He will take it to the byline. He will cut the ball back. He will try to cut inside as well. He has a good rhythm, and I hope that he gets his goal tonight because that would spell positive for Trinidad and Tobago. Going up front, we have Levi Garcia, who partners young Nathaniel James up front. Levi Garcia, of course, is the big man, our danger man in the game. And as I can say, like I spoke to you guys about Rampassad's performance, but Levi Garcia is our danger man. You know, he hasn't had much chances with the ball in the last game, but he's getting himself into great attacking situations. As you can see, 76% of the time he's on the ball, he creates a big chance. When he has the chance to shoot, 95%, there's a 95% possibility that he will get his goals. Yeah, he doesn't provide much defensively, but he is one of those players that when it comes to attacking, he is one who we want to be on the ball. And if I go back to talk a little bit about Rampassad, his passing, his ability to create short passing and long passes with the ball is very decent, I would say. You know, 46.2% of completed, all his passes completed when it comes to a long ball, and 75.6% of all passes completed when it's short to mid range. That's an interesting stat because where he works, the short to mid range passing is key towards the Trinidad midfield keeping control of the game and getting themselves in a situation where we can definitely put some pressure on to this opponent. When I go on to speak about the likes of the young Nathaniel James, he is a very, very big talent, quick. And to me, I would say he's best off the wing. I think he should be the one playing the support striker and let Levi be the one who throws up front, in my honest opinion. I think he has more pace and he's always like a live wire. And I think if he gets the ball to Levi, Levi has a more cooler head and he will take a better chance at goal. It's an interesting situation as we look at this ahead of the matchup against Saudi Arabia. Again, we will be covering the live watch along. Your boy MarkN will be here. So come join me and enjoy it because it's going to be a fun time. It's a must-win situation for Trinidad and Tobago, and if we don't get the win, well, we're going to be going home. And the funny thing is with that is that it's not going to be a terrible situation if we do not get the win, but we need more games to develop this team to get this team in a better competitive spirit the likes of Jamaica, Curacao, as well as Bermuda for that top spot for World Cup qualifying out of Group B. And it's going to be that is where the goal is. Of course, the team and Dwight York, their focus is on today on the Saudi Challenge. And I hope that they get the job done because an extra game will speak volumes in the hunt for the World Cup berth in 2026. The United States, Canada, and Mexico host the tournament. Guys, I don't know what your thoughts are on the game, but I hope you're all looking forward to it. It's going to be an interesting encounter. As you know, the Saudi team, they're working very hard and they've got the funding and financials to improve the quality of their football, which they have been doing with the influx of all the, I would say the talent who are just under the level of elite class from the top leagues in Europe, and they moved to Saudi and improved that league. You know what I mean? I watched Curacao against Canada. They are better than us. World Cup will be tough now. Bro, Canada is not that good. I don't know, I don't want to criticize your analysis of that match. I cannot I have seen Curacao play. I don't think they're better than us. I think they're a little bit more organized than we are. But I don't think when it comes to quality, they have more quality on the pitch than we do. I think when it comes to the attacking quality on the pitch, we are much better than them by light years. But I think their defensive quality is a little bit better than what we have to offer. But that's temporary. And what I can say is this while they might play against Canada and look very good, we have beaten Canada recently. Yeah. And it's not even at our best. So I would say to you that, I'm not going to be too stressed. The big situation is the result against Jamaica. The opening game is going to be worlds and wonders. And if we're at home in our first game, no, I'm not dissing Canada, Luan. I just said that we have beaten Canada recently as well, because it's true, we have. So it's one of those things where I don't think against them, it means that they are better than Trinidad and Tobago, Curacao, that is, not Canada. I'm talking about Curacao. Yeah, just saying. My apologies. Big up to Luan France, and thank you so very much for the big super support and the Canadian $10 super chat. Came in from the group chat, been avoiding all the transfer chats, also been having a very difficult time with the Europe loss. Well, I can tell you definitely, I have been suffering with the same hurt as you, Luan. Imagine going there, all hyped, facing against a Spurs C team, and our manager makes zero changes for 78 minutes when he starts a player that like Luke Shaw, who's dead, and he starts a player like Mason Mount, who really shows up once in a blue moon, just like his fitness spells. So it's what a tough loss. It was hurtful. Tenno and I, cried our eyes out. It's a frustrating situation, and I hope that we never have to go through that again. And I would hold him accountable because that one is on Amarim. It's not on the team, it's on him. His selection was piss poor, in my honest opinion. Big up to Chelsea Blue. They have chemistry, and we are lacking serious chemistry. Do we have enough time to build chemistry? Mark, remember, it's 6 games from September to November. Those are timelines. 100%. The funny thing, though, my bro, we Trinis, when, sometimes we have this habit of leaving things last minute and late. And then we come together and we gel and we fight. And what I can say to you is like, as I said earlier, before this tournament began, in my honest opinion, I was never really expecting to go to the next round. I hoped for it because I was thinking the more games we get to play, is the more chemistry, the more gelling that this team can do, the more they can learn how to play better together. And that was the goal of this tournament. And the real goal is to qualify for the World Cup. So I would say to you this: there are four players that I know will be added to this team. One will provide a defensive strengthening in the back. Of course, I think he will be starting ahead of Sheldon Bateau. There's another player who's coming in who will be playing in the midfield as well. And of course, that's who I'm talking about. Dante Gilbert. It's going to be interesting to see when this guy comes in and he plays alongside Dante Sealy. Those two players are going to be very interesting in this game at least coming up to the World Cup qualifying round when they're available. And the striker who plays his football in Coventry, Okinku, is going to be available because I think he was. I heard some rumors that he had took a light vacation and then he would be coming to join the team up for the World Cup qualifiers. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, of course. But with the likes of those guys who are given problems, you have excuses now to cut them from the squad. And Jovan Jones, I would have to say it, he hasn't been really taking a big role in the team. I mean, even in the last game, you saw that the guy that Kevin Molino came on the 60th or the 70th minute. So it's one of those things where I think Dwight York is steadily phasing these guys out of the team. It's just he may not cut them out immediately because let's be honest, we can use their ability, in moments. And if they can contribute in moments, then of course. And I'm not saying to tolerate their rubbish and the bullshit that they're coming with, like, what they're doing. But at the same time, they are better players than most what we have, especially at their age. So it's going to be a thing where you're going to need those guys in training for experience. And until we can implement, the other players who are coming to join the team up for the qualifying round, I think we're going to have to, kind of bite our teeth with this one. It's a disappointing situation, and yeah, I hope they feel, and the Trinidad public makes them feel how disappointed we are in them for that lack of decorum, that total disrespect when this country has been backing them for the entire time since Dwight York has took over. The support has been much bigger than it was the last World Cup qualifying. A lot of people are going to games and stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean. I think we're going to see a young 11 today, and I think we can. You see, this is why I put this lineup on the television on the slideshow, bro. Because for some strange reason, I think that there might be one or two changes. I think Sheldon Bato might come out of the team. I think he might be the sacrifice in this game. I think we will make a change there. But I am of the impression that we will start with the rest of the players that you currently see in the lineup as we are looking at it right before. And when I say that, I'm talking about these players right here, because in my honest opinion, I really think that it's very possible that we will see this lineup in that game tonight as the starting lineup. And to be honest, I think this lineup is a very dangerous lineup. I think this team, given maybe 2 or 3 games, if we can win tonight, playing in that opening game of World Cup qualifier, I think we will be a lot more confident in getting a result, a positive result, and hopefully a win. And I think that if we can get into the World Cup qualifiers and possibly win our first 2 or 3 games, it will give us the momentum we need to take that group by storm. But we must win the first game against Jamaica. And I have to keep repeating that. Disappointed in Molino. Yeah, disappointed in those guys. As the senior guys in the team, it's very disappointing when you behave like little children. And what can we say, guys? What can we say other than, yeah, we're going to have to get rid of those guys. We will definitely have to be getting rid of them. But guys, this has been my presentation to you. Leave your comments, leave your thoughts, what I have said about both teams and the players to watch out for in the Saudi team as well as in the Trinidad team. As you know, I think, the Saudi players might be mostly unknown to most, but they have interesting talent. Yeah, they have a dangerous left winger, a decent striker, a very good combative midfielder, and a very, very good goalkeeper. And that's some of the key players and key positions that you need in a tournament like this. Of course, our goalkeeper Marvin Phillips is on the next side of 40. So he does his best, but it's not the best. He had a terrible howler in the game against Haiti with the goal that he wasn't unable to save. He really just fell below the shot. It's one of those things. But he has shown good performances and he has the experience. So I look forward to his performance tonight as I expect him to bounce back and bring a big, big match winning performance in the team to guide us to the next round. I would like to start, to be honest, yeah, Phillips gives me a little bit of a stress, when he starts, because when he plays, because while he is press resistant and he does win the ball, he does get away with, turn away from the player, he sprays the passes to no one. And then sometimes he does a little bit too much and he fouls the other player too much. I would start that guy who came on in the second half. I can't remember his name. I don't think it's Smith. I think, yeah, Denzel Smith should be starting. I thought he was the mainstay as starter for goalkeeper, but funny enough, he hasn't been. But he's been the guy who has been starting all the big games for World Cup qualifier. You might not know if Denzel is nursing an injury. So what I would say is that, maybe give him some time and we'll see how it goes. I forget that guy who came on in the game against Haiti. What was his name? Was it Shane? He came on in the midfield, and I thought he did pretty well. And there was a point where he got a pass, and if he had taken an extra step, he would have gotten himself into a situation where he might have scored the first goal for Trinidad and Tobago, and he just came on the pitch. I can't Yates, Stephon Yates, that youngster, Chelsea Blue. Thank you so much, bro. Yeah, I think Stephon Yates deserves a start tonight. I would give Stephon Yates a start over Phillips purely because I think he's more tidy on the ball. I don't think he gets into the situation that Phillips gets in with unnecessary fouls. However, he is a physical player as well. So I don't know. I just feel like tonight might be the night to get to go a little bit more attacking, because while Saudi is a very good team, they're not they're not the greatest. You know what I mean? They're not the most high level. They are very good players. Set will give us a 6 to 7 out of 10 every game. That's the quality of team they have. Of course, we have players who might give us 6 to 7 out of 10 out of each game, but our players have most of our players, the likes of Sealy, Spicer, James, Garcia, even Raymond, Cardines. They have the possibility of going to 7 to 8 out of 10 per game. That's the quality that they have. Possibly that might work, Josh. You know what I mean? But seeing that Rampersad had a good game, I'm not sure if he's going to get dropped from the starting lineup. So I was thinking maybe you bring Phillips on in the second half. You start Rampersad alongside Yates. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind seeing a Johnny Fortune get a game. But, who are we going to take off our Johnny Fortune? Are we going to bench young James? Is James going to be the one to come off for Johnny Fortune? I think I'd rather play my midfield with Daniel, Fortune, and Yates. It's interesting. Daniel Fortune, that's a very, I like that youngster, young Fortune. You know what I mean? I think he has a lot of talent. My only discrepancy is that I think he would better be suited developing his talent somewhere in Europe, maybe in Germany, maybe in Holland, or maybe like, trying to get to a League One or a Championship Division team in the Prem in England, because he has a lot of ability, but I don't know. Like for me, the MLS is somewhere that, they don't really level you up in the MLS, unless you're like really, 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 really good. But we'll see how his development goes. He has been taking strides. He's grown up. He's grown like about 4 inches in the last year and a half. Much more physical, and he still managed to keep that pace. So let's see how it goes. Phillips is very scary in the middle of the park. I have to agree with that, Dexter. I was just saying, it's not that I don't like his work rate. It's not that I don't like his ability. I just think sometimes rather than making a proper pass, he just releases the ball, and that's one of the frustrating things. His name is Matthew Hines. Yeah. And he was playing in Denmark for Norrisun before now. He had this season, I believe he had 12 goals and 7 assists in 9 games or eight games. I believe 6 of them were starts. He had a few other cameos in some games. It's an interesting situation because I think it's a very good team. The senior team plays in the top flight of Danish football, and he plays for the under 21s. Of course, he had a few games in the senior team. He could have had a few goals, but I guess it wasn't to be for him. I went to watch some of his performances. Been very good. I have to say I'm very proud to see the way he's developing. He was at PSG Academy before, so it's going to be interesting. He also played at CIC with Nathaniel James, so they are good friends. So I'm hoping he's in Trinidad right now. So I'm hoping that yeah, he gets into someone he calls up Ja and let Ja make some connections for him, because yeah, Ja used to tell him when it was a good time for him to go try out for the national team and these sorts of things when he was being coached by Ja. Fortune lose focus to the end of the game in the last game, yeah. N- Dynamo. Now last season possibly. Last season he was in Aalborg, right? Playing for a team in Aalborg last season for 6 months. So yeah, I don't think it was Dynamo. I'm not too sure. In the modern game, Chelsea Blue saying in the modern game, and most teams have a keeper who can use their feet and helps with the tactics. Just observing. It will be interesting to see what happens. Not on information on and maybe on the guy. Maybe he join a pro league team. What? Yeah, I don't know about that one, bro. You're not gonna join a pro league team because I already have a scouting situation for him next year. From January, you'll be in Spain for 2 or 3 months going on trial with, there's a thing with 14 clubs in Spain that they host a trial period between April and July. So I'm saying he's going there next season. Based on his performances in Denmark over the last season, they want him to come. The reason why he couldn't come is because he was already in Europe for the length of time he could spend there without the official work permit and visa. So he has to wait 180 days before he could go back to Europe. So that's the situation there. Yeah, he went to QRC. It's not QRC, I said? Yeah, both of them went to QRC together, bro. When Kenwin take over the team and start to coach them to lose games. Before that, they was beating everybody under 16, under 14. They was slapping up teams, bro. And it had this one youth man, I think his name was bro. Where does youth man disappear to? Oh, probably, bro. My bad. My bad on that. Mother brother went to CIC at the same time. So my bad there. Yeah, it had this youth man. I think what's his name, boy? What was this youth man name, boy? Desiree, boy. I can't. It had a youth man. His dad was the coach of I think one of them teams in South. Yeah, his father coached one of them teams in South the following season. And I think they come second in the league or something like that. But he was playing for QRC, so we're number 10 in the under 16s. His name was beginning with a D, boy. I can't remember if it's Desiree or something like that, or Deacon or something like that. Bro, that youth man was a beast. I don't know what happened to he, but I hope to see he playing football still, bro, because he was real good as a number 10. I would easily say that he better than Phillips. Well, at that age, what I see from him. Yeah. But that was then. This is now. It's a different scene. I like Noah Powder as well. I think Noah Powder, my only discrepancy with Noah Powder, I think he needs to work a little bit more on his fitness. I think if he could get himself, 15 yards more or a half a step more pace or just a little bit more fit physically, I think that Noah Powder would be one of the best midfielders that we could have in this team. Noah Powder is remind me quite a bit of Otis Whitley. I don't know about you guys, but Noah Powders remind me of Otis Whitley. The only difference is that Otis Whitley was a hungry bastard, bro. That brother was like a dogged player. He was like a defensive attacking midfielder, bro, because he could defend, crunching tackles, and he had a very, very good engine on him. So honestly, yeah. I'm looking forward to see what defenders and midfielders are we getting. You know which clubs they're from. I'm not too sure the name of the club the young defender coming from, but I believe he plays in Belgium. And there's also a defender that they're looking at who also plays somewhere in England in the English Premier League. I'm not sure if it's in League One or in Championship. It's not a shame he leave the MLS, but I think Noah Powder. You see, this is the thing, guys. Yeah, Josh. One thing for me, I would say, yeah, we need to start trying to get our young players to Europe, anywhere in Europe, because in Europe there is a higher level of football, a more consistent level of football. You know what I mean? You hear it have a reason. Son saying Saudi 3-0. Son say you hear it have a reason. Real Salty let Noah go. Maybe. I mean, some of these guys, bro, like, let me be honest, yeah, like these guys talented, but they're not always using this. I don't know what it is nowadays in this modern time, but we have a lot of talented youngsters who mentally they just take themselves up to playing top flight football mentally. You know what I mean? I don't know what to say. It's like I don't know if I don't know what the problem is, guys, but I think the problem stemming from the school league. And the reason why I say that is because a few years ago when I was in Trinidad I was watching the school league, and the way some of these players, so the way the football was looking, you can tell that half of these youngsters don't watch a lot of football. They probably don't even watch tape to see where they could learn to be better, because the football is like start and stop in a kind of well, it was 2 or 3 years ago when I was there watching school league. It was a lower level than when I used to play school league years before. So it's one of those things where ever since we went to the World Cup, I keep telling man them, the fact that the 10 years we had since then, yeah, it wasn't helping for sports in general promote. Coaching is one thing, but you gotta remember, bro, when a player is 19, 20, 20, 20, 20 to 23, you can't really coach that much into that player, anymore, bro. A lot of the problem is the youth coaches in Trinidad and Tobago, they're not that good. Yeah, there's overrate some youngsters, and there's allow them to have bad habits. Now, our level of coaching is very high level. I want you all to understand something. The fact that in Trinidad we don't use the same two-step system that is used in England makes our talent more creative naturally than most talent in the USA and in England, because of that two-step system, there's coach a lot of the talent, the creativity out of those players using those systems. So it will be interesting. Yeah, youth level, bro. Them same coaches, youth level, a lot of them is rubbish coaches. They don't coach players to be better during games. They just allow them to do things, to make mistakes. You have to you have to teach them the game of football. You have to teach them the nuances on why they're doing what they do. You know what I mean? And Chelsea Blue, this is my goal in life. I want to create a linkage that young talent from the school league can go directly to Europe, to probably maybe two or three different leagues in Europe, but at a decent level, like let me say the German Bundesliga two, or the Championship, or even League Two in France or something like that. And if I could create that linkages, I would say I've lived a good life. So that's one of my goals. I don't know if I'll achieve it, but I hope to do so. It's one of those things. I didn't watch Curacao yesterday, bro. Honest, I was a little bit busy, so I was unable to watch the game. But I will go check it out tonight because for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to be doing some scouting on the teams that we have to play in the World Cup qualifying, so I could bring you guys some scouting information, like who's the key players, the danger man, who is what the most consistent talents, these kind of things. Yeah, I know. I know, bro. I know. I know. So, what I've been trying to do. I was telling I was telling Princeton the other day that you could, a lot of you guys, if you're interested in getting your coaching license, you could do it at Barcelona, or you could do it at one of the academies here, straight online. Yeah, and then when it's time to do your final masters, they will fly you out here, bro, to come and do it to do it at a club here or in Spain. And it's not that expensive, bro. It's like $3,000 for the course, or 4,000 TT for the for the first part of the license course in Barcelona Institute. You understand? So I just saying, bro, like if you guys interested, there are ways you guys could get a equivalent or higher coaching license online. And they have so much success stories because I've this young coach who's now coaching Brighton. He went to Barca into innovation, and he also went to one of the schools in Germany as well. So what I'm saying to you guys, if you guys interested, I could give you guys the literature. I'll post it in the members section on my page tomorrow. I'll post a bunch of links to different coaching academies and stuff like that. If you have friends interested, and these things, they're not that expensive, guys. Trust what I'm telling you. Like 3,000 US for a course. There's have discounts. There are certain months where you could buy a course and get the next part of the course half off. Yeah, it's interesting. It's gonna be an interesting situation. I mean, the Pro League recently, what I could say, it making a comeback. Yeah. And it's one of those things where I hope to see more of that. I hope to see further development. I hope more young fellas, more other fellas get different coaching badges. Don't just go for Concacaf. Come get a European coaching badge. Get UK coaching license. Come with your style and strengthen Trinidad football, because what I mean, like right now it might not be super profitable to be a football coach in the Pro League. But in the next 4 to 6 years, while when Saudi hosting the World Cup in 2020 2036. Saudi is planning to sponsor, some different leagues around the world. So you never know, Saudi might end up sponsoring the Pro League, and it might turn into big business. So guys, if you're interested in coaching, I could give you literature to get some of the best opportunities you have. You know what I mean? You in the party after the game also. Bro, I'm in Germany, broski. You know what I mean? No, bro, Saudi hosting 2036. Saudi, 10 years from now, the people say. The guys say, I was watching a documentary on Saudi, and they said 10 years from now, from this World Cup is when Saudi hosting the World Cup. Saudi or Qatar? Qatar. It's Qatar? No, it's Saudi. It's Saudi, bro. Wasn't the last World Cup in Qatar? Yeah, it was in Qatar. And then in Saudi. Yeah, it's Saudi. It is what 2034, well, something around 2034. 10 years from now, yeah. 20, probably 2034. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, yeah, join in, Mick. I know I'm wrapping up here now, broski. Big up to you, bro. You know. So, guys, you know what I can say is that there's going to be a lot of interesting dynamics on the football and the possibilities for the Trinidad national team is evolving constantly. Of course, we know that the new regime and government is making some slight changes, and they will be, trying to facilitate Coach Dwight York and helping him bring some foreign talent into this team, which we desperately need. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, Coach Theobald have to prove himself in CONCACAF 100%. I mean, like to be honest, bro, I kind of rate Theobald as a coach. I don't rate him as a baller. Never did. I thought he was shite. Yeah, because he was shite. You know what I mean? But as a coach, I think he might improve. And yeah, the pro league in Trinidad and Tobago is not the highest level yet, but with the level of football that these fellas playing and the fact that Dwight York, yeah, is the national coach, I certainly think that he would make some suggestions and give some advice that will be adhered to by the Pro League to improve the quality of the league, improve the physicality, improve the pace, and bring it up a level so that players who from the Pro League could be a little bit more seamless into international competition throughout CONCACAF. So I hope for that alone. Yeah, true, 100%, 100%. I rate put Theo as he's a coach of one of my soldiers in under 14 CFU up in the futures. Big up to you, broski. Don't rate him 100. I can't disagree with that statement there, bro. I would think Central SC would be one of those teams, but yeah, things change. But Defense Forces will always be one of the top teams, Defense Force and Police as well. These guys just get a little bit more rest than most. I mean, I look forward to the day when a player playing Pro League doesn't have to work a second job. Doesn't have to work 5 hours, or 3 days a week. They could just play football. Because when Trinidad and Tobago get to that level, that you can play football and live your life without having to have a second job, right? I think football will skyrocket. The quality of the Pro League will quadruple. And the talent of the players and the potential that you will be seeing from the players and the creativity and the pace of the league, I think all of that will go up by levels in the coming years. But guys, it's been an interesting one. And yeah, you know what I mean? I just like you, Josh, I hope we get some better players because some of these players are not it, definitely. Some of them too old, and then some of them, yeah, they past the prime as well. You know what I mean? The man had to prove himself in the Caribbean Cup. Well, let me see how it goes. I will check out the listings and see when is the Caribbean Cup. And, maybe I'll do some watch-alongs for the Pro League as well in this coming season here as well, guys. If you guys really up for it, just let me know, and I'll do some watch-alongs for the Pro League. I'll figure out a source to get them games, but I'll call my brethren Gabriel and see what's going on. I think he just do the cameras for most of them games, so I'll see what I could do. I'll see what I could come up with. Yeah, they need a major sponsor. Who knows? Maybe that's what I'm telling you guys. Watch out in the next 2 years. Saudi or Qatar might come in and sponsor the Pro League. It's something that has been in the works. They have been talking about it. They just creeped into CONCACAF and they are part sponsors of this CONCACAF Gold Cup currently. So let's see how it goes because remember, Saudi is trying to recruit a lot of talent to develop their league. So in investing in the Pro League in Trinidad and Tobago will also bolster that effort for their league because our players are definitely very talented. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. Wave TV does show the games. I'll check out that. I will check out that. You know what I mean? You no longer have to join the defense force or police to play for them anymore. I mean, I know that part. That part has changed. I think like they changed that like 2 or 3 years ago, if not five, if I could remember. I had a brethren who was playing for the police some years ago before COVID, and I don't think he was a police officer or anything like that. Yeah, well, we will see. We will see. So, guys, join me later on. Of course, I will be live 20 minutes before the game kicks off. Your boy will be live. We will go over the starting lineups. We will discuss some of the key players in the game as well. And let's see how we go. I think, Josh, you're coming up with a big idea there. And, Josh, think about this. Maybe you could talk to us. You could put together an idea on how you think the division should work and the zones. And take it to the TTFA, bro. These are things that you can do. You never know, they might take your advice, and who knows, you might be one of the guys to contribute to the evolution of Trinidad football. We definitely need a three division league. We definitely need to have local teams playing in every single district, and we definitely need to have regional teams and then the pro league teams, and it must have a system where teams could rise up through the pyramid and get into the pro league, and the same way teams in the pro league get relegated, because that jeopardy, bro, will increase the quality of performances every single season. So we'll see how it goes. Your boy will be back later on to bring you the live presentation of Saudi Arabia versus Trinidad and Tobago. But until then, thank you so much for joining me, guys. Big up to each and every one of you joining. Big up to you, Josh Sonson. Big up to Sean B in the building. Big up to Chorus as well. You'll need a local development, and that starts with academy level. Jamaica just started to see progress. Now, that is interesting. Trinidad has, for years, had a better academy setup and a better grassroots setup than Jamaica. And a lot of people may not think this, but Trinidad has more than 100 more players playing the Premier League than any other Caribbean island. Yeah, still to this day. That's how the quality of football that Trinidad used to produce back when I was a youngster. Almost 11 of the players to 12, 13 of the players playing in Europe, bro. So it's not new to Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, we have the likes of Dwight York and Russell Latapi and these guys who prove that, even the likes of Otis Whitley, Carlos Edwards, the defenders, Dennis Lawrence, and these guys, Shaka Hislop. Shaka Hislop was, to me, the first, the prototype for a ball playing goalkeeper. If you know, you know. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes, guys. I think, these things could work. All the ideas, everybody, we need to come together. Everybody, your idea matters. With our country, the size of Trinidad and Tobago, yeah, a little bit counts. It goes a long way. And it's something that we can definitely do and contribute to make the football better. Because again, like I say, guys, we are a country that blessed with talent in so many different ways, in film, music, creativity, arts, all these things. We have so much natural resources. If we can come together as one family, one nation, and put all these things right and get all these things working in the right way, Trinidad could be one of the best countries in sports, one of the wealthiest countries in the world. There's no limits for Trinidad and Tobago, guys, in all facets. Russell Latapi is the general king. You know what I mean? The general. But still have to say, Dwight York was one of the guys. Well, Dwight York was one of the greatest football in 1 year. He had somebody more. He had more than 43 GA, won a treble. Yeah, one PFA Player of the Year, most assists, most goals in Champions League. Tied for first with assists as well in the Champions League. So Golden Boot in the Prem, Golden Boot in the Champions League, most assists in Europe, second most assists in the Prem, won a treble and still did not win the Ballon d'Or. Madness, madness. Don't worry now, man. We go deal with Sean Frontus and them. We have a little dose for them fellas coming. Them fellas time short, Prince Hood. Don't worry about them men. Them men time will be short. Yeah, trust when I tell you that. Them men, they will be on the way out soon. Just remember I tell you that. So guys, I'll catch you guys later. Gonna jump on a stream with my boy Mick Ruby on the MUFC Realist TV channel talking about the Man United transfer windows. So guys, I will check you guys out later. Yeah, exactly, son. Exactly, son. It's always politics, Chorus. It's always politics. You know what I mean? So this is why I tell everybody. I went and do a tour of Manchester United, and to see that Trinidad kit on the wall, in the hall of honors, trust me, we will see more. Remember, York is not the only Trinidadian to be signed to Manchester United. You all better not forget there was a Nkosi Blackman. If all you forget my brethren, we go have a problem. Never forget there was a Nkosi Blackman. Remember, I tell all of that. There will be more. Big up to everybody, and I'll catch you guys later on. Pleasure. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to smash the likes and share it around, and subscribe if you're new. Big up to you all. Guys, I was just thinking about this real quick. I feel like I gotta take Molina out of my intro. You can't be in the intro in that big moment there when they're doing all that dumb shit. Gotta take him out, guys. Later. Big up to the Trinis. Love y'all. Always. You know how it is.